going on, boxing people? So we had another boxing weekend. So it's another weekend where I'm going to pick out my top 5 things that happened this weekend and then decide who stood out and who didn't. Let's just talk about that. And somebody that definitely stood out this weekend was Giovanni Santillan. So that's what we're going to start with. So Giovanni Santillan took on Alexis Rocha. It was at the Forum in LA. So Rocha, of course, he's like in that mandatory position, has that NABO belt for the WBO. That's in association with the WBO. And Giovanni Santillan went in there and did a demolition job on Alexis Rocha. And I think even when I saw him face to face, y'all, it kind of reminded me, crazy enough, of Rocky 3. I don't know if you remember the first fight between Mr. T and Rocky 3, and I was looking at the face-to-face. I know Mickey had passed. I know that was a different scenario, but listen, just hear me out. So you had Rocky face-to-face with Mr. T, and Mr. T just looked at him like dead meat.
Dead meat.
And I was just looking at the size difference. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, Giovanni Santillan is huge. He looks so big at welterweight. And not that that's everything, but it was just the fact early on when he connected with Rocha, and Rocha's first instinct was to fight back. And that did not look like it was going to be a good tactic on the night, because he did look like the stronger puncher. He looked like the stronger fighter in general in there. I think Alexis Rocha needed to apply a different tactic if he wanted to win that fight, and he did not. He was going to rely on his own power. I don't know if it was the crowd or whatever that got to him, but Santillan, man, I was impressed, but I was just less impressed with Rocha and his tactics. But you gotta credit Santillan. He went in there, he took out Rocha and did it impressively. Just ran him over, steamrolled. That's pretty much what happened. But I credit Rocha for, he continued to get up, he continued to fight. You can tell he didn't want to lose the spot, and you can tell when he was on the ground and he just put his hands behind his head, like it's like he knew at that moment he was gonna have to fight. It was gonna be an uphill climb for this night to get this win, and he just couldn't pull it out the bag. No matter what he did, it just wasn't enough. It was Santillan's night. Sometimes it's just not your night. It was not his night. It was not the best tactics, in my opinion. But Santillan made sure if that's what you want to do, if you want to stand here and trade, it's not going to work in your favor. So Santillan now is the NABO, WBO, basically mandatory position, or he's in that position. So we'll see who he takes on next. You know, Crawford, will he vacate, go to 154? That's going to leave Santillan either to, I don't know who is going to be second or third. I got to look at the rankings for that. But we'll see who he takes on, potentially for a vacant belt. We don't know. We'll have to see. But impressive performance. Rocha has to rebuild. And where does he go from here? I'm not quite sure. He's young, plenty of time to rebound. But I just want to make sure that he makes some adjustments in the future. Or at least if he realizes he's going against a bigger, stronger fighter in there, I want to see him box a little bit more. And maybe this is something else, just like the Rashidi Ellis loss. Rocha learned from that, and he did fight better. So he lost this fight in a different fashion, just getting brutalized. So let's see how he responds to this. Don't throw away Alexis Rocha. Let him come back, and let's see what he does. He still has plenty of time. Jack Catterall got the win versus Linares. It was not an impressive victory for me. Jack Catterall, I feel like he's still living off that Josh Taylor decision loss, that a lot of people thought that he won. And I just want to see, it's to the point, I want to see Catterall Taylor 2. I just want to see Catterall Taylor 2 so we can put that to bed. I don't want to see him. I know they were talking about him taking on the Prograis versus Haney winner. I don't really want to see that. They were even talking about him maybe taking on the Liam Paro versus Montana Love winner. I would rather see that. But I think for Catterall, it's now, especially everybody knows how controversial that decision with Taylor was. So I want to see Catterall Taylor, get him in the ring, decide that, and let's see where Catterall really is. Because I feel like we're going to get the best Josh Taylor. After losing to Teofimo Lopez, he said he didn't feel his best at that fight. Felt like maybe he should have moved up. So to me, that fight's not even going to be at 140. That fight's probably going to be at a catch weight at 143, 144, or something like that when they do fight. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as far as the weight is concerned, how that plays a role for Josh Taylor. But either way, if they do fight, I think we're going to get the best Josh Taylor, because he wants to shut people up about Catterall, because he hears it all the time, I bet. And Catterall feels like he was wrong. So I think that is the fight to make next. Linares retired afterwards. Linares had a tremendous career, 3-weight world champ. Give him his roses, give him his flowers now. I'm glad that he's retiring though, because he just looks a shell of himself in there. Looks like a shell of himself. He looked better against Devin Haney. And of course that was a couple years ago now. So you would expect that. Linares now 38 years old. Catterall actually had him hurt in the 5th round, and he I don't know if it was because of his strategy, he didn't jump on him, but Linares literally backed up against the rope and put his arm on the rope. And when he put his arm on the rope is when Catterall finally decided, I'm going to go after him. So, I don't know, Catterall, I just felt like he had opportunities that he could have maybe went at the older fighter a little more, pressed him a little more, but maybe that's just not his style. Maybe, I don't know how much that's in him or not. But let's swing it back to Linares. I just want to say thank you for all those good nights, those great nights. You took on the challenges that we like to see as fans. He fought Luke Campbell. I'm not saying Luke Campbell was great, but I'm saying at the time that was a good fight. He fought Luke Campbell. He fought Lomachenko. He fought Devin Haney. Linares went up to 140 and then he got knocked out. 140 he didn't belong at 140. Let's just be real. Linares never should have been at 140. And that's why I honestly thought Catterall might have an opportunity to get him out of there, because Linares has never fared well at 140, but he didn't. But either way, thank you, Linares, for those great nights and trying to give fans fights that we want to see. I respect the heck out of that, and I salute you and enjoy your retirement. On the undercard of Rocha and Santillan, we had a star being born. Now, if you watched a few things that I've done, and I have like Ardor watch list. I call it Ardor watch list, where I'm not talking or anything. It's just me putting out some images and videos so you can see fighters that I think are up and coming. And Gabriela Fundora was one of them. Gabriela Fundora is the future. I'm just gonna flat out say it. Gabriela Fundora is the future. 112-pound now IBF champ as she obliterates Mucino, stopping her in the 5th round. Very impressive performance. Never gave up her height, and that is gonna be a huge advantage in every fight. She's gonna have to go against, if there's somebody out there, if there's a fighter out there that's gonna beat Gabriela Fundora, she's only 21, y'all. They are going to have to be an elite pressure fighter, because she's constantly taking that small step back, and when they throw that left hook, here comes her right. Here comes her right. She's like, whoop. And she caught Mucino numerous times with that. Numerous times. And it's just nothing you can do. And it's so demoralizing, because she still would throw that straight left, bow, right down the center and clock you with that. But there's times she would go with that straight left and come right back with the right hook. Gabriela Fundora, I love what they're doing with her. Samson Lekowitz, that's her manager / promoter. And I'm glad that they worked with Oscar De La Hoya and Ale Mucino to make this fight. I'm glad this fight was made, even though she was in position to get this fight anyway. But I'm just glad the fight was made. And I just want her to get the support now. I would love for Golden Boy to co-promote. I think that fits what they're trying to do. Even the Golden Boy himself said it on the broadcast. They are a West Coast organization. So you're talking about, but he doesn't mind pushing it internationally. You're talking about Costa Rica because you're Costa Valle, etc. But they are mainly West Coast when it comes to America. And that's what Gabriela Fundora is, Coachella. It's a match made in heaven. I'm telling you, because at least they're pushing the women in boxing. But you gotta tune in, y'all. Jump on the train of Gabriela Fundora. Support this fighter, support that woman. 21 years old and is now IBF champ. And if you didn't see that fight, go check it out. Go check out the highlights or something. You'll see her taking those small steps back and nailing her with that right hand, never giving up her height. You know, doesn't have the fastest hands, but the way she manages the distance and her punch selection makes up for that. She's gonna be a terror, and she's only gonna get better as long as she stays dedicated. The sky is the limit. I expect a multi-weight world champ out of Gabriela Fundora, and if it sounds like I'm gushing over her, it's because I think she can be that good, because she still has levels to go. I feel like she still has so many levels she can go. So it's gonna be an exciting journey. So let's all enjoy it as fans. But congrats to Gabriela Fundora. Mucino, we'll see how she bounced back. But that was Fundora's night, clearly. And I called that from the beginning. I thought it was going to be a unanimous decision, but it ended up being a KO victory. Woo! What a win. What a win by Gabriela Fundora. Peter McGrail was on the undercard of the Catterall Linares card. And McGrail looks good. Like, he looks the part. And he did take out Mendoza. It was a solid performance. That's why I kind of bill it as taking another step. So McGrail is taking another step because I think they're trying to get him a world title fight, or in position for a world title fight, probably within 5 fights. Well, I would say within his next 5 fights, I should say, because I believe he's 8-0 now. But within his next 5 fights, they want him in title contention. And he's in the super bantamweight division. This fight was for a WBA continental belt. So I'm sure that's going to get him ranked in that top 15 somewhere, top 10 somewhere. Now that he beat Mendoza. Mendoza was a good fighter, a young fighter, undefeated. He came to fight. He just wasn't the better fighter of the night. It was a clear victory for McGrail. But let's talk about McGrail and his style. So what I like about McGrail is that he does reposition. Like as he's throwing, he's repositioning for his next attack. But I also think that's one of his problems is he's so offensively based that his defense can also suffer because of it. So I would say he's more an offensive fighter than a defensive fighter. And with that being said, as far as balance, I would say maybe even 70-30. And with that balance being that way, he can get caught with some shots. So somebody with a heavier punch, watch out. Because McGrail himself doesn't have like stone in his hands. You know what I'm saying? Now he's a cumulative puncher. It will be a cumulative effort as far as getting the knockout, but he is a tremendous boxer, tremendous fighter. You can tell. It's a special talent. He just needs to continue to develop. And when I say develop, you can. I think he's like 27 years old. He still can develop. He's entering his prime. So there's plenty of things he can get better on, especially defensively. Mendoza hit him with a few right hands that McGrail was looking for his offense and therefore got hit with those shots. That's exactly what I was talking about. But most of the time, McGrail did his thing. So I can't really complain too much, and I'm not complaining now, but I just would like to see these fighters reach the pinnacle. I want them to see them reach their potential. And in order for them to reach their potential, they just got to keep their nose to the grind, and I think McGrail can get there. But what do you guys think of McGrail? Do you think McGrail is good? I just don't want to hear that Liverpool Lomachenko stuff or whatever they're calling him. Let him be McGrail. Let him be Peter McGrail. That's who he is. He's not Lomachenko. Yes, you see some similarities in the way they go about their business. He's not Lomachenko. Let's stop. Kill that noise. Kill it right now. Not Lomachenko, but he's a very good fighter. And let's see the heights that Peter McGrail can go. Because I think he's a very good fighter. I expect him to be a world champion. But will he have to go through MJ Akhmadaliev to get there? And I think that's probably what we're looking at. Because we don't know how long Inoue is going to stay at Super Bantam. He's going to unify with Topolis. That's going to leave Akhmadaliev a chance, maybe at Inoue. But if Inoue moves up, that leaves a vacant. And maybe they will have McGrail and Akhmadaliev face at that point. I think that's what they're shooting for, maybe in a year and a half or so. But we'll see how that goes. But congrats, Peter McGrail. He takes another step, and that's on to the next. And the last but not least, Isaac Chamberlain. Oh, I guess I would say the last and the least is Chamberlain defeats Lawal. I didn't see it was a cruiserweight battle for the Commonwealth title. It was on Peacock here in America. I was happy that I was able to watch it. And I'm going to give a quick note. Karis Arningstall is a beast at featherweight, y'all. I'm doing a separate video on Karis Arningstall, so be on the lookout for that. But man, she's bad. She's bad. But as far as Chamberlain's concerned, he got the victory. Guess there was a little grudge in between the two, and it wasn't much of a contest. I was expecting a few more fireworks in the matchup, but it was one-sided traffic for most of the fight. I would say for the whole fight. But Chamberlain got the win, and I was curious what was going to be next for him. And I guess now they're looking at him taking on someone else for the British title. I'm trying to remember his name. I don't know why I can't remember his name right now. He was like, Vidal Riley. Man, I was like, please come back to me, right? I'm in the middle of doing this. Please come back to me. Riley. So it looks like he's going to take on Riley. Very popular. That's going to be good for Boxer. I think that'll be good for Boxer. That's because he comes from that like YouTuber influencer type community, you know, but he is legitimate. Kind of went the Jake Paul route, you know, but more Jake Paul after he was fighting influencers, because he's actually trying to be a legitimate boxer the entire time. And I like to see what Riley does, man, against a fighter like Chamberlain. That's something I'm interested in. That would be an interesting fight. Is it the biggest fight? Probably it's not the biggest fight, but I think it'll draw more eyeballs, definitely more eyeballs than what this fight. It might even do more eyeballs than a Buatsi Aziz, as crazy as that sounds. I think it could do more views than that. Of course, different divisions and whatnot. I'm going all over the place with that. Let's just stick to Chamberlain, got the victory. Want to see him against Riley next. Hopefully that's the fight that's made for the British title next. And we'll see where each one of them are, because it's almost an eliminator. Who's going to take that next step for the world title and who's going to take a step back? So it's a good fight for Boxer. They're both with Boxer. So hopefully they can get that made in 2024. But those are the top 5 topics that were really at the forefront of the weekend, at least that stood out to me. Look for that Karis Arningstall video, because I do plan on doing something with that, and maybe a little more into the Gabriela Fundora victory, even though I kind of gushed on it quite a bit in this one. But I appreciate y'all tuning in. You can tune in to so many different channels. You tune into this one, and even if you go back to theirs, that's all good. We all here to support boxing. So support them, support boxing, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.